Okay, hi everyone. Today we are looking at a question like this. Okay, now over here they say I want you to find the sum of the number pattern below. Right? Which obviously is a little confusing, a little daunting. Okay, but fret not. Okay, because after this video you will have a better clarity and better understanding of how should you approach a question like this. Now, whenever we want to do a question that is related to pattern, we first have to obviously find out what is the pattern. Okay, now this is basically what we call consecutive numbers, right? Consecutive numbers are basically numbers after one another. Okay, so now you can see over here, let's maybe look at the first set. Okay, we are going to look at the first group. Okay, I do not want to see them individually, but I want to make sure I group them up. Okay, now, so for the first one, you can see, okay, if I have these numbers, so from 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way until 18, 19, 20. I just want to show you something, that if you were to pair up 1 and 20, the first number and the last number, and you add them up together, you realize that you get to the total of 21. Now, you pair up the second number and the second last number, which is 2 and 19, you get to the total of 21. If you were to pair up the third number and the third last number, 3 plus 18, you get to 21. Now, what you can see from here is that each pair is actually equals to 21. So we are going to say one pair is equals to 21. So we are just going to write that down first. How many pairs would there be from 1 to 20? Definitely 10 pairs, isn't it? Right? Because 1 and 20 is one pair, 2 and 19, 3 and 18, so and so forth, right? So over here, you get to 210 as your total for the first set. Now, in the second set, okay, I'm just going to highlight in yellow. You can see that in the second part, right, it will also be the same. Okay, it will also be the same. So instead of doing like, oh, I'm just going to add on my calculator or whatnot, try not to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to work on my second part. For my first one, I know that my total is already 210. Okay, now for my second row, I want to ask myself, what is one pair? One pair is actually equals to how much? The last number, what is the last number? 21. What is the first number plus 2? Therefore, this is 23. How many pairs would there be in total? Definitely 10 pairs again. Okay, so therefore, this is 230. Okay, so that is how you can find the total for the second row. Now, then if I were to look at the third row, same thing, I'm going to pair them up. Okay, for the third row, 3 and 22, that becomes how much? One pair is actually equals to how much? 3 and 22, we can just add them up together. We know that that is basically 25. How many pairs would that be? Definitely 10 pairs. Okay, something that I would advise students to do, right, is to try out. Make sure 4 and 21 is also 25. If that is true, then yeah, you can confidently go with that. Okay, so we can write down that this is 250. Now, you will start to see that the numbers or the total is always plus 20. The total is always plus 20. Now, this shows you, or this goes to show that the intervals are 20. Okay, so let's say if I were to go to the fourth one, I don't even need to count anymore. For the fourth one, I know that this is 270. So basically, it is 210 plus 230 plus 250, right? Because this is the first one, the second row, the third row. Okay, for the fourth row, it will be definitely 270. Okay, so you go on and on and on and on and on. Okay, for the fifth row, it will be 290. For the sixth row, so we have to go all the way until row 20. Okay, we have to go all the way until row 20. Yeah. For the sixth row, you can say that this is 310. For the seventh row, you can say that this is 330. For the eighth row, you can say that this is how much? 350. For the ninth row, it can be, again, how much is that? 370. Now, and of course, for the 10th row, it will be 390. Okay, right now, so you start to see that actually the intervals is just 20. Now, what I like to do is I like to use this formula, which is what we call, it is basically for equal intervals. Okay, this formula is basically an equals to a1 plus bracket n minus 1 times now d. What exactly is this? Okay, this is basically the formula that we use for equal intervals. An stands for the value of the figure number. Okay, some students, they prefer to put Vn. V stands for value, right? To remind them. Okay, so if you prefer V, then I'm just going to write V for you. Okay, both works. All right, now A1 is the value of figure 1. N is basically the number that, or in fact, I would be more specific by saying the figure number that you are looking for. Okay? And of course, finally, we have D. D stands for the difference. All right. So now, because of this, right, what I can do is really just substitute the numbers. Okay. Since I know, okay, that my numbers are going in intervals of 20, which means to say every bunny hop is 20. Here's what I can do, right? AN is basically what I want to find, right? Isn't that the value of the figures that I'm trying to look for? Yes, which is figure number 20. Okay, because this is actually figure number 20. Okay. Now, so what I want to do now is, of course, AN equals to value of figure number 1. Where is figure number 1? Figure number 1 is the one over here, which is 210. Plus, bracket, what's N? N is the figure that you're looking for. What figure are you looking for? You're looking for figure number 20. All right, minus 1 times the difference. The difference is the bunny hop. So therefore, we times 20. Make sense? Okay, so when you do this, you get to 210 plus, of course, BODMAS rule. We solve whatever that is in the bracket first. 19 times 20. Okay, so over here, you know, right? 210 plus 19 times 2, that gives me how much? 38. Very good. Add a 0 at the back. Okay, 210 plus 380. Well, I always encourage my students to try to use mental calculation. 380 plus 200 is 580 plus another 10, therefore it's 590. Now, the question is not asking us for the total for the last row, but the question is asking the sum of everything, right? So since you know the last one, I'm not going to write 11 to 19. I'm just going to say that for on the 20th row, okay, the total has to be 590. So we are going to use back the same method, okay? All right, because I want to find everything, right? So I'm just going to use the first one and the 20th one. Okay, the first and the 20th row. Okay, the first and the 20th row. What is the total for the first and the 20th? 210 plus 590, right? And this gives me 800. And this is basically my one pair. Okay, so since one pair has the total of 800, how many pairs are there in total? 10 pairs, right? 10 pairs. Why 10 pairs? Because there are 20 rows in total, right? One pair is basically 2 rows. 10 pairs, 20 rows. Okay, so over here, you just have to do times 10. And then when you times 10 to this, what happens to that is that you will get to 8,000. And 8,000 is the total of the number pattern below.